Welcome to Wasabi Interviews. My name is Antonio Vega. I'm the editor-in-chief of Wasabi Magazine. And on Wasabi Interviews, we talk to interesting people in Hawaii, Japan, and beyond. Today, we are joined by Mr. Jon Murakami. He's done this cover
Hey,
and this cover.
hey, it looks familiar.
Cartoonist, artist, and Wasabi contributor, Jon J. Murakami.
Oh, thank
Woo.
you. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. I haven't seen you in a
Yeah,
couple of months.
it has been. And it's nice. I'm not getting the email saying my strip is late.
Hey, it's due this week, so
Yeah.
can you?
I know when the next issue is coming out. I know I got time.
Yeah. We still got time for that. Don't worry. I will remind you.
It's all good.
So, just in case anybody is not aware, Jon does a comic for us. It's called "What's Up, Wasabi,"
Yeah,
and it's a pun because he kind of
yeah,
looks like a bee,
yeah.
but wasabi.
There you go.
Yeah,
Get it? No.
get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have the T-shirt.
Oh wow! Look at you. I did.
Yeah. I look like a Jon Murakami stalker right now.
I
So,
hey, I got one. There you go.
so
Uh,
yeah. How are you doing? First of
I,
all,
I'm doing okay.
yeah.
It's been all right. During this whole pandemic, they always say
Mhm,
like, work at home, stay indoors, and
mhm.
all that. And for me, it's like, well, there's not much difference to what I've been doing this whole time. So, I will admit there are certain things that are different. Like I can't go to, the coffee shop and
Sure.
work there, but for the most part, it's been working at home, and it's
Mhm.
it's been okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a strip in the Star Advertiser too, right? Has
Yes.
that been like
Yeah.
normal?
Yeah. And I was very fortunate because Calabash is an ongoing
Mhm,
comic strip in the Star Advertiser where it's
mhm,
the every other Sunday,
mhm.
and I alternate with Audra Furuichi, and she has her
Mm,
comic strip as well.
yeah.
And so we've been continuously doing it. So yeah, so like I said, nothing's really changed.
Oh, great.
And my other comic strip, Generation Gap, is in the Hawaii Herald, which is
Yeah.
the first and third Friday of the month.
Mhm.
So it's pretty much I have like a comic strip like every week, and
Yeah.
of course then I have What's Up Wasabi as well with you guys once a month. So
Yeah.
um, yours is probably the most ambitious, let's say.
Yeah. Well, so I wanted to ask you about that. So,
Yes.
the concept of wasabi, I guess it kind of hinges on the whole like chigao thing,
Yes.
right? Which somebody says something wrong. It could be like a cultural thing about
Yeah.
Japan or
Yeah.
something. And then wasabi, you get the whole
Yeah.
chigao. Actually, this is what the reality is. Let me
Right.
tell you about the way it actually is. You got that wrong,
Right.
but here's the truth, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I mean, and we've worked kind of together on this, bouncing ideas off and
Yeah.
doing research and all that.
Yeah.
What are something that you've learned from working on this project with Wasabi?
I've learned that it takes a long time to do one of these strips. No, but seriously, I've every time I do one of these comics, it's always such just learning the cultural backgrounds of a lot of these things, like
Mhm.
just the use of the words, use of chopsticks, proper use of chopsticks,
Yeah.
and maybe I know some of these things, but I don't
Mhm.
know all of these things. And by doing the
Yeah.
research, it's very enlightening to what I've
Yeah.
been doing wrong this whole time,
Uh,
or how different things are here in Hawaii.
yeah.
Hawaii Japanese versus Japan Japanese.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
like terms that we use or just mannerisms and so forth.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just fun. I remember when we first thought about this comic strip, um, you guys kind of left it up in the air and just said, well, why don't you pitch something?
Right. Right.
And I remember when we first started, I think I was really trying to have this married couple in
Right.
which the husband is from Hawaii and the wife is from Japan, and
Yeah.
the cultural differences that they encountered. But for some reason it was, I know it we never it was like 90% there but not quite what we wanted. and
Right.
then
Right. Right.
and finally we were running out of time, so then I just did the sketch of the wasabi,
Yeah.
and I guess you guys showed it around the office and they said,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's perfect, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
It's cute. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
cute.
thank
It's
you.
funny. It's kind of
And
silly.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is what I do anyway.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the whole Chigao thing was because I remember you had, and here we go. Here's a sticker of it. We had,
Yeah, I have it too.
yeah, there you go.
Let me see. There you go. My hard drive.
Ah, look at you. You actually stuck it on something.
Yeah.
Um, I remember you guys were interviewing Maekawa Sensei,
Yeah.
and
Kazuo Maekawa.
Maekawa,
Yeah.
yeah, and he worked on Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
Gyakuten Saiban.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing in the game is which they point out and yell, objection.
Right.
So I
Right.
said, I'm going to do the same thing, but he's going to be Chigao. So that's kind of where it came about.
Yeah.
And when we did the first initial strip, I remember we talked about business cards
Right.
and the presentation of business cards, and
Hmm.
that was kind of like my trial strip.
Hmm.
And I remember like every other panel, he pretty much did it and corrected it. He was correcting people about the proper way of addressing business cards.
Yeah.
And I guess the feedback was people really like the Chigao, so we kept on going with it, and almost to the point like that's taking up the whole strip now. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's fine. It's fun.
I've heard a couple people. They tell me, "Oh, I love the Chigao. I love the
Yeah.
Chigao."
I have people coming up to me yelling it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay. Who are you?" You. Or I did a talk at the one of the elementary schools, and one of the
Yeah.
elementary school kids actually yelled out Chigao when she found out I'm the one who drew it. So
Oh,
so I
wow. That is
yeah,
cool.
so I guess it's making an impact of some sort, and that's
Uh-huh.
good because it's educational. It's teaching people things as well as being
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
entertaining, which I like.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah,
And like we did one, the business cards, we
yeah,
did the chopsticks, we
yeah.
did the Japanese used in Hawaii,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Like that is not necessarily either used in Japan
yeah.
anymore or it has a totally different meaning these
Right.
days,
Or like what was it
right?
like? We still say bakatare here, and
Bakatare, yeah,
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 and
yeah.
you said
Bakatare, but you don't hear it so much in
yeah,
Japan. I think it's quite rare
right,
and almost like either tongue in cheek or maybe like an older person might use it,
sure.
perhaps. But I've never used it heard in a very sincere way.
So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fun. And then the ninja one,
the
that
ninja
was a
one we
whole
did.
headache
Yeah.
because ninjas are secretive
Oh
and
man.
it's always tough like confirming what the heck ninjas actually do, right?
And again, it's hard too because everything that I thought I knew about it is all wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's very shocking to see like all these facts coming out and realize like, wow, I'm living a lie here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's been fun. And the latest series that we're doing is Waseigo, which
West
is
Ego.
kind of interesting Japanese made in Japan English type words, I
Yeah,
guess you could say.
yeah. So like American dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
American dogu, which
yeah.
means corn
That's
dog. Corn dog, yeah.
corn dog,
Yeah.
not hot dog, corn dog.
Not hot dog. Yeah, corn dog. Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's tons of
hey,
fun words like that.
it's
So
fun.
yeah, so
And
people can definitely check that out
yeah,
since almost since the beginning. I think you started in the third issue.
yeah,
So
I was a little bit late because we're still ironing out the characters yet. We still didn't
yeah,
quite know what we were doing yet, but
yeah,
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 it's been fun. It's been such a fun thing, and I like the characters. And
yeah,
again, it's just I just enjoy doing it
yeah,
every
yeah.
month, or
It's
every
been
other month.
fun.
I
It's
should
been
say.
fun. Yeah, and yeah, you always get me to dig into things and kind of learn in the process too. So
Yeah, and I usually wait that last week before it's due. Like, hey, look at all this stuff.
okay, I'll get on it.
And then he sends it back right away, and I'm like, oh, now I gotta go back to work again.
Uh,
But
right.
but that's the way I
So
work. I mean, I'm juggling a
yeah,
lot of projects, so a lot of it is like and I don't mean to be very last minute about it. I mean, most
yeah.
artists are procrastinators,
Yeah,
but
that's just how it is, man.
I don't
Yeah.
mean to, but it's like
Yeah.
yeah, I got like several things in the going on in the fire. So a lot of it is
Yeah, yeah.
working fast, just trying to get all these things out.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, well, like we said, you have the other two comic strips, and then you have your own comic books that you release
Yes,
regularly, right?
yes.
Gordon Ryder and
Gordon Writer.
I think
Where is
I
it?
was looking on Facebook and you that's coming up on its 15th year anniversary.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't even find
Um
the comic here. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, so Gordon Ryder,
mhm.
worst superhero in Hawaii, and And this is funny because we're kind of doing a parody of Kamen Rider,
Right, right.
Masked Rider, which is like Kikaida and Power Rangers, and the live action tokusatsu
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
characters. Yeah.
Right. So what is that going to be in 2020? Is that the 15th year?
Actually this year, yeah, this year is the 15th anniversary,
Right.
and we're hoping that we are thinking about a special project.
Hmm.
Hopefully, like we're gonna do like an anniversary book with various
Mm,
artists, and
yeah.
so we have submissions and so forth. See, little subtle thing
Great.
here, little subtle there.
Okay. Nice, nice.
As Antonio's gonna edit that out.
No, no, that's great. I'm,
No,
I'm glad. I think you were shooting for the summer for the deadline to
we're
get that
trying
going,
to,
right?
but
Yeah.
because we pretty much we're pretty much convinced all the cons are going to be wiped out this year. I mean,
Seems like it. Yeah.
Kauai Con is combining with ComCon Honolulu to one big
Mhm.
con, and they're hoping
Yeah.
that it's going to be in October.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. Yeah,
Yeah. We'll see what
yeah.
happens exactly.
Or was it
Yeah.
August? I don't remember what.
I think it was August.
I
Yeah.
think it was
Yeah. I think
August. Excuse me.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've been optimistic about it. I'm
Hmm.
hoping that something will happen, but just prepared in case, like, nothing happens. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the greeting cards? Like, do you know like how that's doing? Because you do.
Yeah.
What's the name of the company that you
Is
uh
Maile Way product.
Miley Way? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If I'm sure people pretty
Yeah.
much whenever you show those to
Yeah.
people here in Hawaii, they've seen them. Like
That
they're around at like Longs or
yeah, that's kind of my claim to fame actually. It's like most people know
yeah,
me for that. Like I can say like, oh, I do Gordon Ryder, or I do Wasabi, and they're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's nice. Then when
yeah,
I say, oh, I do the local kind greeting cards, oh, I know
yeah.
those, and people get excited. So yeah, so we've been doing them for over 23 years. I think we've been doing them, and just
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
different cards for just different occasions.
yeah.
And yeah, we've just been having fun doing them.
Hmm.
Excuse me.
I wonder, do you know how it's going right now? Because people aren't going,
Well,
out to the stores to buy them, but right now it does seem like a nice time to get a greeting
yeah.
card and send it to somebody since you can't see them in person.
I think. Well, I haven't designed new cards.
Mhm,
Like we usually
mhm,
have to stay ahead, like about a month or so.
mm,
I haven't done any new designs for Boys' Day or Mother's Day because again, we
mm,
didn't know how long this was gonna last.
sure.
But people are picking up cards for graduations, of course,
Right.
and just other occasions. I mean, they did buy things for Mother's Day, for Boys' Day. I mean, even though we're not supposed to, people still are grocery shopping, and they are going to like stores that do have the cards. So as long as you
Sure,
wear the
sure. Well,
face
yeah, they
mask,
are at the
they are
supermarket,
picking
so
up. Yeah.
people can still pick them up,
And
while they're
I
there.
yeah, and I think the Gail and her crew, they're the ones who own the greeting cards.
Mhm.
I think they've been replenishing the cards.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Good, good, good.
so yeah, yeah, good
Mhm.
time to buy cards. Write
Yeah, yeah,
write
you
to
can't
people.
actually you can't see someone, but you can show them that you care by just sending them an old-fashioned
Yeah,
letter in with a nice
yeah.
card.
And who doesn't like to get mail?
Exactly. You go like,
Unless it's a
"Wait,
bill.
wait." When you when you do get something in the mail that is not like a bill, you go
Yeah,
like, "Who
exactly.
sent me this?
Yes,
Like, who the heck would
I
send
don't
me
know who
this?"
this is.
And then you open it, you go, "Oh, wow, that's so nice."
Yeah.
Uh, so, like I remember, we've talked about this before, but you've been drawing like since you were little and like
Oh
it's
yeah.
been your whole life. But did you ever like from the beginning, did you think I want to draw cartoons and be an illustrator? Or at some point did you ever think like I want to try something else? Or has it just been like that was your dream?
For the most part, when I was a kid,
Mhm,
that was pretty much it.
mhm,
And again, I was born in the 70s, so
mhm,
there was no internet, there's no um, cable or anything. So like
mhm,
me, I it's very like kind of like narrow-minded thinking back then. You're
mhm.
kind of like, this is all I see and do. So
Right.
that's why I think for me, drawing was something special for me, and I kind of knew already that this is something I wanted to pursue because my parents also supported me. So
Mm,
I went to classes at the Academy of Arts when I was a kid, and I took a lot of like extracurricular art as well.
mhm.
But come to intermediate high school, I was in the band,
Oh.
and I played tenor saxophone.
Mhm.
and this is at Pro City.
Mhm.
And I guess we were pretty good. We for our class, for some reason we had a lot of people who were very serious about music, and I kind of
Mhm.
fell into that crowd.
Mhm.
So came my senior year, I had to kind of decide, well, am I going to go into art drawing or am I going to go into music?
Yeah.
And I knew I wouldn't be able to do both, you know.
Right.
So so I just kind of decided, okay, yeah, this is the crossroads. I'm gonna really pursue art at this point, because and that
Mm.
was the thing too, because I took music classes in high school. That was all my electives, so I didn't have any
Oh,
other electives
interesting.
to take art.
Mhm.
So a lot of my art for me was self-taught.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh. Do
but I
do you
did
ever
meet,
s do you ever play the saxophone still?
no, no. Actually, my nephew was really good at it, and what I did was
Oh.
I kind of like bequeathed my saxophone onto him because he's
Oh,
actually
that's nice.
he's way better than
Ah,
I ever was. So,
gotcha.
and he was really really dedicated to music. So I just said, here, you can have my Mark 7 saxophone
Uh-huh.
because I think you'll take way better care of it than I will because
Right,
it's
right,
just
right.
kind of rusting in the closet, so it
Yeah.
may as well be used.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
but I was very fortunate, like growing up. I did meet a lot of cartoonists along the way, a lot of
Mhm.
professionals. So the first one was in elementary school. I took classes from this gentleman, Otto Cleveland,
Mhm.
and so we met every Saturday at like one of the churches, and he would teach me the fundamentals about cartooning, basic
Mhm.
shapes, gestures, and so forth. And so that was my basics. Then I got to meet Dave Thorne,
Mhm.
and Dave Thorne was kind of like the guru of all cartoonists here in the islands.
Right.
And he basically saw me and he kind of took me under his wing and he taught me everything he knew and he introduced me to all these other cartoonists. And again, this is before social media. So to meet
Mhm.
cartoonists was kind of like, well, how do I even do that? So
Yeah.
so Dave was nice enough to introduce me to all the cartoonists that we knew of at the time, working professionally here in the islands.
Mhm.
So that really furthered my career.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, from going to just kind of drawing on your own, not really being trained in it as a kid, to later you were actually like interacting and learning from these
Mhm.
actual cartoonists, and then taking classes and all that. Like, how did your art change? How has it changed from back then to now, for example? Because like one thing that I'm always amazed at, like, how incredibly, like, fast you are. You can just, put something out. Like, we tell you, "How about this?" And then, for example, when we were designing Wasabi, we were telling you, "Can you do, like, a female version?" And then, like, I don't know, 12 hours, like, 6
Yeah.
hours later or something, like, you had 9 different versions of
Yeah.
a female Wasabi, and we didn't end up using that, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was just, like,
That,
amazing. Like, wow,
yeah.
geez, like, that's
Yeah.
for me,
It's
someone who can't really
yeah.
draw, it's
It's
always
it's
amazing, so
it's caffeine. Caffeine will do that to you. No, and always being, like I said, being a procrastinator, so always like
uh-huh.
under the gun.
Yeah.
Uh, that's how the speed works.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I think um, anytime and this is something that we tell like any artist.
Yeah.
The only way you get better is you practice, you draw,
Mhm.
and we say it constantly. Just do it, and
Mhm.
make sure you draw every day. And it sounds very cliche,
Mhm.
but it's true because every time you draw, you're learning, you're getting better.
Mm.
And so, like how you mentioned when I first started to like
Yeah.
now, because I keep drawing every day, it's kind of like exercise. It's like
Mm.
you get into a habit, you find out what works and what doesn't work, you experiment and
Mhm.
so forth. And so I think that's really the key to it, really.
Mm.
And also, I was dropped on my head as a kid, so I think it's that kind of thinking that helped me uh, rush with these ideas.
Just come up with crazy things.
Yeah, true story, by the way.
But, when I look at your Facebook or your
Yeah,
Instagram, I'm always seeing, like, new drawings that you're just doing just for the heck of it. Like, I was
yeah.
looking, just earlier today and yesterday, like, you were doing a whole series of Star Wars themed
Oh, the
ones.
Mandalorians. Yeah, the
Yeah, yeah,
pun.
it's a whole bunch of puns, like
And
Spider, Mandalorian.
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
For me, I feel like, and this is kind of a weird thing because I was talking with some friends and we were talking about this how like already if you can draw, it's pretty
Mhm.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, for those of you who can't draw, it is an art, so it can be learned. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you just practice 5 minutes a day, you'll get better.
Mhm.
But so for those people who can draw, um, that's amazing. But if you can
Mhm.
draw and be funny, that's
Yeah.
another added bonus because not everybody, thinks funny, and comedy is subjective.
Yeah.
Um, I've been fortunate that I think people think my stuff is funny,
Mhm.
and for me, I feel like, especially right now, it's very important right now that it's a crazy time right now. There's a lot of
Mhm.
sadness. There's a lot of
Mhm.
fear and stress going on. So I try to post a comic every day just to kind of
Mhm.
like have people calm down and say like, hey, just smile, laugh a little. Let's forget
Mhm.
about what's going on for a little while, and yeah, let's have a little laugh here. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how I've felt this, during this whole pandemic. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend go check out John on Facebook and
yeah.
Instagram. I think yeah, you're on Twitter too. Yeah, I believe so,
I
right?
am, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
I'm not very active. It just kind of like
Mhm.
filters into there,
Right,
but
right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, I always like the silly, little pictures and stuff that you draw.
yeah.
So.
I try. It's more keeping
Yeah.
my sanity too.
One of my absolute favorites, and I'm sure anybody that's followed you for a while is familiar
Oh,
with this one, but it's a strip. I think it's a two-panel strip, and it's for Thanksgiving. And you probably already know which one I'm talking about, but
oh,
it's like for Thanksgiving, the kids, right? They'll draw like a turkey,
right,
they'll outline the hand, and they'll draw a
right,
little
right, right.
turkey. But the punchline here is that it's a turkey drawing a person with its like three little clawed, like what do you even call like a turkey claw?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's a reversal basically, and
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, that was I think that was the very first trip that my dad,
Uh-huh.
um, he really complimented me on that strip, and so ever since then, if I've realized like, okay, this is what I need to do,
Yeah.
and that's why for me it's very important too. That's why I put these comics out as well, because
Uh-huh.
I know it seems egotistical to be counting the likes and the
Uh-huh.
the laughs and all that, but I'm looking at that because I'm realizing this is the kind of humor that people want,
Yeah.
or the masses want. So that kind of
Yeah.
helps me adjust my humor as well. So
Mhm, mhm.
yeah,
So this is what I wanna do. Like, you just said that, but what do you mean by "this is what I wanna do"? Like, the kind of style of comedy, or what do you mean?
yeah, that kind of comedy, because
Mm.
I mean, again, comedy is so subjective. There's all
Yeah.
different types of comedy. There's uncomfortable comedy. There's
Mhm,
puns. There's
mhm.
wordplay.
Yeah,
There's familiar scenarios. Stuff
yeah.
that people can relate to. So this helps me kind of like figure out what people are looking for.
Mm.
What's funny. You know.
True, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that is when you can use social media in a positive way like that, then you immediately get that feedback, right? That
Yeah.
you don't get in a newspaper, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like, "Oh, wow, people are really sharing this, people are liking it,"
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I did something right here."
Because back then too, it's like, if it's in the newspaper, not many people really write in and say like, "Hey, I really like the comic strip." So you don't even know if
Right.
anyone's even reading it or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so by having the likes and so forth, it's like then I can realize like, oh, okay, at least somebody's looking at it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
So
that's true.
there's that kind of affirmation, that doing something
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, One recent one that I did that, I was trying to look for it on my phone, but I don't think I'm going to be able
Mm,
to. One
mhm.
comic strip that I did that was kind of a runaway was, there were a bunch of storks carrying
Okay.
babies,
Mhm.
and so there's the storks carrying babies, and then there's one that is the Origami Crane with with
Uh-huh.
with the basket, carrying the little, the little basket of kid,
Yeah.
and the two normal storks are looking at the Origami Crane and says like, oh, that must be a Japanese baby. So and it was just a silly gag.
Yeah.
And I got so much people commenting that they really like that gag, and it was such a bizarre thing. So again,
It's
sometimes
it's
I
such
don't
a
know.
simple little thing,
It
right? Such
is.
a
It is.
tiny, tiny thing, but it just works. It just
Right.
works like the imagery, with that tiny little observation,
Yeah.
nonsense kind of observation, right?
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's
So
fun. I
that
mean,
that's pretty fun.
I really like what I do. I mean, I can't
Uh,
think of anything else I would be doing. I'm
yeah,
glad I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
go to music. So
Well, unless you're a rock star, right? Uh,
Oh my goodness.
so, now, just going back to the convention thing, I mean, I don't know, it's people that are in the world of, comic books and that kind of stuff, I think
Yeah,
understand this, but for people outside of that world, they don't understand maybe that conventions are actually a big part of the income of people like you or
yeah.
Audra or other, independent, artists and comic book creators, right?
There are some who are very very reliant on it, and especially right
Mhm.
now too, because comic books are closed right now.
Mm.
So they haven't been really coming out with new comic books. So
Oh,
all these
wow.
artists are really like in this kind of limbo right now.
Mhm.
Although my understanding is, I guess the here in Hawaii anyway, some of the comic book stores are going to be open again on the 15th, I believe,
Oh,
on May
okay.
15th. So that's
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah.
as for like newer material to come out, I mean, even like the distributors kind of shut down everything. So there was
Mhm.
no new comics coming out anyway because there's no place to sell them.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
hopefully that starts up again. I'm kind of following closely on that. But yes, but as for the conventions, I do have friends that was their sole business. Every week they will be
Oh, okay.
at somewhere, whether it be
Mhm.
on the mainland in Canada, overseas, or something. That's what they
Mhm.
relied on. So when this all happened and we couldn't travel,
Mhm.
they were
Mhm.
kind of stuck.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
we're finding that some people are actually doing like online cons.
Oh, uh-huh.
So kind of like how we're doing now, having like interviews, and so you would interview various artists, and then they would
Right.
kind of plug certain things, and then you can go to their site and purchase it that way. And so
Right.
like
Yeah, I saw you shared a link for the San Diego Comic Con
yeah,
that's going online,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious how they're gonna do it. I mean, there are like
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of vendors and people, so
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But I have seen a few that I guess they have celebrities and they have like
Mhm.
autographs for sale, and so
Right.
it's like $5, and they'll autograph it for you. You can talk to them a little while, and
Mhm.
so and they have like cosplay contests. They'll put it on and people can vote, as
Mhm.
well as like as an artist will be drawing live, and then people can auction
Right.
for it. And yeah, so I mean we're adjusting,
Mhm.
and I guess we all have to, but
Yeah.
we're hanging in there somehow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, well, I think I mean, perhaps it's a little bit of a generalization, but at the very least, usually people that are into, comic books and that kind of thing do tend to be more online savvy and into that kind of side of
Yeah,
things. So
yeah,
at least there's that, people that really want more comic books do know kind of where to go to seek them out. They know
sure,
to go to your
sure.
website, for example, right?
Exactly.
What's
I don't have
is
a
it
website.
is
I don't have.
do you could you tell people if they want to buy your comics and
Oh,
that kind of
okay.
stuff, where should they
Well,
go?
here we go. See, I got a little sign here. So, but
Yay.
yeah, if you go to Jon J Murakami for Facebook,
Uh-huh.
Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, it's all the
Yeah.
same. Jon J Murakami, and
Yeah.
this is my online store, jonjmurakami.bigcartel.com,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's check it out. I got all kinds of stuff there. I got books, buttons, stickers,
Mhm.
pins, all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Check it out. And of course, when we come back with more wasabi, we'll have more wasabi. What's up,
yeah,
wasabi? So
yes.
definitely check that out. And go check out John's stuff. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube
Do
channel
it.
and all that.
Do it.
And
I don't know where I'm
yeah,
pointing. There you go.
do it. Subscribe. Wherever it is, subscribe
There.
somewhere.
There.
All right. Thanks, John, for
No, thank
coming
you.
on.
This was
Yeah,
fun.
thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
Okay.